That's later. This is now.
All right, into the draft we go. Berjaya going to be on your blue side, Alpha on red, and immediately banning out the Nidalee from your river, getting rid of that just hyper-aggressive jungle.
Hyper-aggressive jungler that also counters Trundle.
Oh, no.
Maybe a little bit of a worry for you.
Oh no!
Here, you Enso Trundle, whatever the opposite of an enthusiast is.
Dreader. Do I dread the day that I see another Trundle getting locked? It's just it's actually starting to turn into the PCS Volibear. Our Volibears just aren't good over here in the PCS. I'm going to be completely honest. They keep getting counter pit, and then usually they just can't ult to save their life. Varus, though, going to be banned out here on the side of Alpha, taking that one away from K2. Again, K2 has been one of the more stable bot laners when it comes to the PCS, not afraid to pick up any kind of marksman that would suit the team's needs. Has played Varus, has played Ezreal, has also fallen back to the Aphelios. Interesting, though, a lot more marksmen actually coming out. Kalista also getting banned out here by Alpha.
So you have a bot lane focus coming through from Alpha, but typically when faced off against this incarnation of the Berjaya Dragons, teams have chosen to trim out the mid lane. Whether that was Karma, whether that was Syndra, whether that was Galio, just take away some of Malon's picks. If you take out the Syndra here, with Zoe already on the bench, it does shoot up priority of that LeBlanc, but it also does mean that, Chen9 has his Lissandra that did kind of 1v9 against HKA in Alpha's only victory so far this split.
All right, so we see the Aphelios being banned out here by Berjaya. So on the side of Alpha, what do they wish to try and ban out here for their final ban? It is going to be Ascena, so just getting rid of all the marksmen down in that bot lane. As like we mentioned, usually we expect a lot more focus onto that mid lane champion pool. Now for Berjaya, the golden question. Are they going to first pick Trundle, or is it going to be an Ezreal?
Please no. Please no Trundle. Just take Ezreal. Okay, that's also fine. Come on. Different jungler.
There you go. All right. Enzo makes his first appearance on something other than a Trundle. Only took 6 games as he locks in the Graves.
And now I'm curious as to what your river chooses to take into this, because Graves doesn't really have a losing matchup right now. You can run, as you said, the Volibear. You can run the Olaf. You could try for the Kindred or something a little bit more creative in that regard. Actually, if the Kaisar is locked in here, it does kind of lend a lot of strength to that forward dive heavy kind of composition that you mentioned. Very, very common for the PCS at the moment with Wukong, with Galio, with a lot of backline access. And the Kaisar does kind of say, look, if you pick Ezreal, we'll just dive on you time and time again.
This would be a bit of a change up. We're actually going to get ourselves an Elise lock in. It's been a while. She kind of fell a little bit out of the meta, considering we've seen the rise of the Nidalees as well as the Graves and the Trundles, but was always kind of a niche pick or ban pick back in spring for the PCS.
So the thing about Elise is that you need to tower dive top at level 3, level 4, level 5. So look for Bush to secure something of value for himself. By the way, Bush sat on the bench for Berjaya last split, now starting top laner for Alpha. Yeah. There's some narrative for you there.
There you go. Gets to have a little bit of skirmish with his fellow organization of the 11-man soccer team that they used to run. Meanwhile, though, for Berjaya, there you go. You wanted that Ezreal. It's going to get locked in here for K2, as well as the Karma getting locked in that can be flexed either into the mid or support role.
Yeah, really, really big fan of the Karma. Not the most stellar of win rates, but a beautiful KDA. Has a lot of influence, and if you run it bot lane with the Ezreal, you pretty much permanently have a pushing bot lane. You have full control of that lane, and it does kind of make this Kaisar's early game a little bit of a living nightmare.
Just saying here, you already got a lot of dive coming in, a lot of aggression being shown here by Alphas. That is going to get the Jace being locked in for their final pick of the first round of the draft, which again could see it over on Chen. Likely going to go see it on Bush, so Bush gets to get himself onto a carry up in that top lane if that is the case.
Yeah, so the Jace would do a very, very good job at pressuring out the enemy top laner and allowing the Elise to come through for an early dive, as we mentioned before. My main concern, though, is that with Karma Ezreal pretty much having perma push bot lane, the Kaisar will be left alone with her support, and that sets up the Graves for a bit of a tower dive bot lane. But Graves notoriously bad at tower diving, so not the end of the world, even if Alpha do just focus exclusively on this top side.
Seeing, though, a lot of those, safe, just, kind of easy top lanes that you can always fall back to being taken away by both sides, as that's now the Renekton being banned out by Berjaya, and both the Mordekaiser and Wukong being banned away here by Alpha.
Then I believe this could very well be a Jace mid, by the way, if these top lane bans do persist from Berjaya. Note that we still have Ornn available, we still have Malphite, we still have a couple of these less threatening PCS specials, but I am expecting a support counter pick to come through last for Alpha, so that means we lock in a safe top laner here, and then we say, look, is it a Karma mid, is it a Karma support? Let's get a good winning matchup there, so they can't just ruin our day with that perma push.
There we go, Ornn gonna get locked in, so that, like you mentioned, does pretty much translate to, hey, this Jace is gonna go in the mid lane now for Chen 9, so we'll see how he gets to perform on the pick himself. And now for Berjaya, what do they wish to try and take into this? They could always flex, again, that Karma where they want to, but instead opt in to say, hey, we want that Aatrox going up against this Ornn in the top lane.
Yeah, Aatrox into Jace, never really a fun lane, especially not for the early stages of the lane itself, but later on can of course outscale, and you saw flash of the stats right there. 16.4, I believe, was the win percentage of this Aatrox so far, this split of the PCS. And I think part of that is just because some of the top laners with more suspect champ pools, you know, there was a time like last year and earlier in this year where Aatrox was like one of 2 viable top laners. So you're seeing the players that haven't necessarily added to their champ pools a lot default to this champ, or if they pick top last and you have, you know, 4 top lane champs banned. It's fine, but it's not great.
And now final pickup for support is going to be Delulu on the Braum. Looks like the answer, though, from Alpha for Yursan is going to be that Thresh paired alongside the Kai'Sa of Weilun.
So I would have rather have seen the Bard, but I still don't mind this because ranged bot lane into this is just nice. Ezreal Braum notorious for not really having a lot of lane kill pressure, so should unlock Yursan to go for a bit of a roam if he wants to. But as well as that, also consider the fact that K2 and Delulu are probably going to be pretty hard to gank, even if your River is on something as potent as an early game elites.
So there you go. Draft's getting locked in here. For Alpha, we get a lot of that early aggression, a lot of that, you know, pre-20-minute action that we kind of expect from this squad, as well as, you know, that late game, you know, insurance that you have with the Kai'Sa, as well as that Ornn that's going to be helping with the scaling items if it does get to that point. And for Berjaya, we get to see something new from Enzo. No longer that Trundle 1 trick. He now has added Graves into that champion pool. We'll see whether or not that is going to be enough of a change coming out of this squad to help net them their second win of spring, or summer.
Yeah, well, a first rotation Graves at that as well. So the team, of course, saying, look, we have a lot of faith in you, my friend. Please lead the charge in there. Didn't even go for the Galio to back that one up, but again, Mauon on the utility mid laner, on that supportive mid laner, ready to facilitate Enzo.
Both of these teams currently at 1 win apiece, 4 losses, so one will be able to at least add a second one to their tally. Other, though, going to be still stuck in that 1-win club with Resurgence and Liab, which, of course, could change with our game coming up next. For now, though, it's Berjaya taking on Alpha as we load on into the Rift.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
And rather standard here. Some defensive wards coming out from Alpha, which if we saw anything actually in the last game we saw, Graves not afraid to go for that early invade, possibly on that first buff or second buff take, as Ryan was able to do that for Nova. Let's see whether or not Enzo decides to do the same. Other than that, though, I don't see much craziness when it comes to the runes. Looks pretty standard for most of what I'm seeing on the side of Alpha.
I mean, Spellbook Karma is pretty much just, again, focus on utility nowadays. Comet, not really the kind of thing you want to opt into here. Spellbook, very, very reliable, and of course, with the way that the Nimbus Cloak is working nowadays, you get a lot from it. Halo Blades on the Kaisar means a lot of front-loaded burst in these trades, but down a heal because of that TP choice from Waylon, so Alpha's bot lane do have to be careful as just how much poke they are willing to take.
Yeah, I already see your son. He's trying to play in around the alcove, and he's got to be careful himself. Don't want to be taking too much there, as your River does decide to start on the top side of the map, so we are going to be seeing pretty much the mirror jungle path, as your River actually just going to rush over toward his blue. Doesn't want to get that taken away. Maybe we get to see some action toward that bot lane if that's the case.
Yeah, pretty standard pathing from Elise here. You go buff Gromp again. She really struggles to clear out her non-single target camps, very much similar to Trundle in that regard. And as you said, could be pathing towards the bot side of the map. And that's a little clumsy to me because you're kind of banking on a Thresh hook against the bot lane with very, very heavy disengage. But at the same time, if you feel like there's no real play to be found top while your Ornn is still at level 1, perhaps that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, but we do see Ozzy has decided to push up. That's going to be level 2 already hit here, as your son is able to land that hook onto K2 with the play. A lot being burned. You still see Ezreal going down to about 300 health. That early ward, though, that comes out from Delulu is going to help keep them safe as they spot out your River trying to, path down into this lane.
Yeah, you have Enso still floating around on this side of the map.
It's going to be Cocoon, but your son already used the hook there and almost actually tagged K2 just with the edge of the hitbox. Your River, though, comes back one more time. Might be looking for another play.
Yeah, but could force onto that, but you do have the Graves just farming it up pretty much within range of a counter gank if need be. Okay, yep, no, definitely still forcing on this one. Your River is, well, K2's a little bit suspect.
Yeah, he already got tagged there by the W of the Kaisa. Ignite's going to come out. Cocoon is going to land, though, onto the Braum, and that's going to be first blood going on over to the Elise. And your River ended up not taking the minions within range, unfortunately. Those are being crashed in onto the tower. It's for his own team, so it will be a trade of 1-for-1, though, as that kill goes on over to the Graves.
Yeah, not quite sure how the Lantern played that one out, but hey, they got the first blood. I guess it's worth it. They crashed the wave as well. And as we mentioned, I kind of referred to the teleport from Waylon as a detriment, but also the lack of teleport from this Ezreal means that you can't TP back in to catch this wave, and suddenly the bot lane is entirely in control of Waylon and Yosan.
Yeah, and for Waylon, that's kind of a nice little break. Unfortunately, the last game we saw from him was he got taken down very early on and fell behind greatly. This time he gets to be on the winning side, at least for once, as that's going to slow down K2 on this Ezreal. Gives him back a little bit of that morale boost after just getting absolutely devastated by Bruce.
Yeah, now you have your River again, just making plays across the map. Went bot, forced it, went top, trying to force it, clearing out some wards for good measure along the way. And yeah, this jungle Elise, we said she needed to be proactive early. To her credit, she is, but, well, need to force more plays.
Yeah, like we mentioned, that gap of 3 to 6 is kind of where you want to try and make those dives happen, especially against something like a Karma or possibly, especially an Aatrox. See though, Berjaya, they're the ones that say, you know what, you dived our bot lane, we could do the same, as that's going to be immediately engaged upon. Decent amount of damage. Do they actually find the kill on Waylon? Finally they do, as Enzo finds the kill, and your son almost gets taken down. Just a tick of damage, and that was a teleport interrupted by Ozzy in the top lane.
EQ? The flash into the JCQ from Chen9 does go wide there on the tail end of that. Both supports blinking health bars. Teleport now coming through from Waylon. No level 6 for the Kaisa. Gosh,
okay, your son, you're playing with my heart. Meanwhile, your River's path in toward the Tri-Brush. K2's very far forward. Is on a ward. Is he just trying to figure it out? Now Delulu's caught out. He's on top of a ward. He doesn't know. Oh no, now he figures out something's going to go on. Gets to jump in over toward the minion, but still enough damage. K2 gets himself back into the lane, but messy play coming out from the bot lane on both sides.
Yeah, now looking at how that played out. A big force from Berjaya. It's cool, they set up for it, they coordinated this dive, but the Alpha bot lane took way too long to die. Graves, of course, can't damage people through towers because the tower soaks up the shotgun pellets, and when Chen9 does show up, it's not to any great accomplishment, but they do manage to walk away with a bit of a cleanup thanks to your River again just coming from the enemy jungle.
Yeah, he's like, I'm living in this Tri-Brush, it seems, here in Delulu. You could just always back underneath your tower. Could always, but nonetheless, That is going to be a kill returned immediately back over to Alpha. And well, the one thing you have to take note is all the kills, at least for Alpha, are going on to the Elise. So I guess that's a silver lining for Berjaya, is you'd like to see that gold be put onto the carries.
That being said, though, the fact the Elise is getting the ball rolling early means that the dueling potential of Enzo on this Graves is a little bit worse for wear. If he is ever found out by your River mid-rotation, it is one very, very dead Berjaya jungler who maybe wishes he was back on his famous Trundle.
And unfortunately, let's see here, Invade coming out from Berjaya, a lot of pressure. That's also Chen9 coming up here. 3 members for a red buff on both sides. Is going to get secured though by Alpha, and you know what? I was kind of hoping we'd see some, you know, aggressive play. You know, Enzo, he says, you know what? You can have the red buff. I'll take your Raptors then. I wanted to see that early aggression come out of Alpha. I want to see that solo QS style that we saw at the very beginning of the summer split, and Berjaya, at least they're trying to match that.
Yeah, Smite Bite coming through from the Elise there to secure the red, but as you mentioned, just not enough to secure the Raptors. A lot of early aggression is what we wanted to see, and so far we've had a fair amount of it, even if there are only 4 kills on the board. There's been the potential for more, and that's what matters.
Nonetheless, though, Alpha are going to be able to get that push in, taking the grasp of everything else along the map. It's still Wei Lun with about a 30 CS advantage over K2, so this Kai'Sa is still feeling decent here into the matchup. Enzo still has that slight CS advantage, though, into the jungle, and has at least been equal when it comes to the kills, so still will be doing damage himself. As your River now looking to path, possibly trying to get some vision down, as they already actually took Dragon here very early on from Alpha.
Yeah, and Alpha actually don't usually trend towards taking the Drake super early on. Instead, they tend to focus around topside, around Rift Herald, and we said, look, at least topside focused champion, they'll probably just play around that. That being said, though, they've thrown that out of the window, they dove bot, they made a play bot, they've secured a Drake, and suddenly Alpha, this explosive early game, while it's not quite as one-sided as they'd maybe want it to be, it's still a lot of promise, especially considering how systematically they were dispatched by Machi earlier on in the day.
I'm a little upset, though. I'm a little sad that Berjaya, like, especially here in summer, the first 5, now 6 games we have seen out of them, Malon's been on some rather more or less support as champions. We've seen that Karma come out quite a bit, and I kind of miss the days we saw back in spring where he wasn't afraid to, you know, bring out an assassin or two, maybe go toe-to-toe here with Chen9 on, like, that carry-style matchup, instead of, you know, always having to facilitate K2 or Ozzy in these side lanes later on in the game.
Yeah, gotta be said. Oh, yep. Ozzy in the side lane doing something crazy, but here is the Alpha signature early game Rift Herald. Berjaya, though, they're not going to take it rolling over.
Yeah, Berjaya, they say, all right, you want to try and go for this? We'll happily do it. That's going to be the Rift Herald Eye not opening back up for the fight. Instantly, Engage comes on out, and it actually gets taken by an Ezreal auto. That's not what you want to happen on the side of Alpha. True Shot Barrage into the Mystic Shot, puts down the Kai'Sa. Bush will fall too, and boom goes the game here as Berjaya are able to find a nice advantage. 2K up, Rift Herald in pocket, and 3 kills.
It looked very promising for Alpha. They had the early game jungler of the Elise, that insurance policy towards getting neutral objective pressure. They rotate for it, they start it up, and then they get collapsed on massively. Wei Lun and Yursan could zone out the enemy bot lane, but what they couldn't zone out was a Karma, was a Graves to boot. Chen9 was already a little bit late to that rotation as well, and then yeah, the desperation play from the Elise wasn't enough to finally secure that objective, and in the end K2 is the one that manages to pick that up, pick up Wei Lun, and pick up a huge swing in advantage for Berjaya Dragons.
And that's a bit tragic for Alpha, as especially for your River there. He let an auto attack from an Ezreal take it early on in the game. That's literally like a gust of wind in most cases.
He was dead. He had to flash Smite Q to try and execute it, and then it lived with like 50 health.
And
so,
you're just like,
yeah,
well, this is
bad.
now my life. It feels bad.
Yeah.
And with that, too, that Elise now, we've kind of, you know, left that period between that level 3 to 6 where she wants to be diving these lanes consistently, trying to get ahead, and is actually starting to fall a little bit behind in CS, and now he's going to have to start focusing on his own goal before he can transition back into these lanes.
I mean, that being said, though, we did, you know, paint this picture of Alpha being this early game focused team. Now though, we're looking at the inventories, we're seeing Mana Moon for the Kaisar, Mana Moon being built towards for the Jace, and suddenly this team that we kind of wrote off as being explosive in the first 15-20 minutes has this mid to late game insurance policy of legitimate carry threats should they stop hemorrhaging resources across the board.
We have seen them, though, try and do this style. It was up against Hong Kong Attitude last week, and I think we both kind of have that feeling is once this team kind of leaves the 20 to 25 minute mark, the team coordination just kind of goes out the window. And no matter how much scaling you have, if you can't operate a team fight properly, it don't matter.
Yeah, the thing about this comp is that it's a bit of a mixed bag in terms of what you're getting. You get a solid amount of hard engage and siege from the Ornn, with the poke of the Kaisar and the Jace as well, but then you just have Elise and Thresh looking for picks, and when Elise and Thresh are being pushed in like this, when they're being threatened by the Herald or a dive, where are the picks? How are you going to find a pick? How are you going to hook through that Herald? Well, like this, I guess.
Yusan flashing on forward with the Flay, decent amount of damage. Guess what? K2 is perfectly fine here on this Ezreal, but in comes that teleport from the Ornn, able to help pick up one kill as Wei Lun is able to find it on the Kaisa. And it will be a 1-for-1 with both top laners teleporting in.
Yeah, solid attempt at a turnaround from Alpha. They weather the storm of that initial Herald as well, but because Berjaya win that fight, because Berjaya have numbers advantage, Berjaya now have the onus on a roam around here. We said Alpha have this kind of hybrid poke slash pick comp. Well, both of those suck in an all-out 5v5, and so Alpha on the back foot for this fight.
You saw Chin9 was possibly considering, hey, maybe try and get some damage in onto that pit. Decides otherwise, and with that, the Dragon will go in favor of Berjaya as we take another look here on the fight engage from your side.
You pop the Herald, and yeah, this is what I was saying. Look, you need the Thresh to find a hard engage. He finds it, to his credit. The Elise follows up as well, but cool, you hard commit to the Braum with a stopwatch. Yes, they eventually get him down, but they lose so much across the board for it that you really do have to question, Alpha, was the 300 gold injection into your pockets really all that worth it?
Well, I got Wei Lun on the board, at least when it comes to kills, so that Kai'Sa is going to be feeling good, but unfortunately, does mean your Ornn gets taken down, and that's going to be now a teleport being burned, as again, that pressure from Berjaya is not relenting here in bot lane.
The CS lead that had built up after the early pressure coming through from your river as well has evened out on that bottom side of the map. Meanwhile, you have a huge advantage top and jungle for Berjaya, and even though we said Alpha had this comp that could play around top side pretty reliably, the gap is just widening in favor of Berjaya so far this game.
Yeah, real question, what was your river doing for the last minute and a half, 2 minutes? He was around 50 CS before, and he's now 2 levels down on Enzo, who's been just power farming on this Graves, and now when it comes to, you know, the objective fights, you're really relying on that extra damage from your fight. On top of that, too, you now have first brick gold injected in onto this Ezreal. I think Berjaya, they're feeling pretty good right now.
Trundle was the problem, Opal. Maybe
Good.
not, but hey.
Good, it means he won't play it anymore.
Now, Enzo's pathing has been pretty good so far this game. Not really seeing all those early skirmishes slash duels that the Graves maybe excels in, but hey, Ozzy.
Bush was, you know, playing a little hard to get here, and even underneath the tower, trying to trade back as Ozzy at least forces out a flash out of that Ornn. So now Bush is going to be pretty vulnerable. He tries to go for another
True shot barrage.
True shot barrage. Not going to land here. It looks like Bush was able to sidestep away.
Yeah, that was pretty close. But thinking about Berjaya right now and that top lane matchup in particular, you saw the Aatrox trying to fish for the Ornn ultimate. Didn't manage to get it, but still got the flash, got the huge disengage, and now you're seeing the Aatrox actually get through the part of the lane that was difficult. And honestly, he's been left in isolation. Your river, all of his pressure was bot side. Alpha, all of their attention was mid, bot, around the neutral objectives. This Aatrox freely scaling, and Ozzy, if he shows up in these team fights, can pop off.
Meanwhile, though, that's going to be second reptile of the game, started up here by Berjaya. Your River now pathing up into the jungle, into the river itself. Might try and contest. Meanwhile, though, top lane just going to get taken here by Ozzy. Call the Forge God is going to be used a little bit early on that flash. Is able, though, to sidestep over the wall. We'll see whether or not Alpha, though, can try and collapse. As now Ozzy's just playing back and forth with Bush as Bush went over the wall. The rest of Berjaya are now going to come on in. This poor Orin doesn't have anywhere to run. Is able to at least get the dash to safety as the rest of Alpha now roam up.
Yeah, Alpha, I was hoping they could pick up this Aatrox on the tail end of that play, but unfortunately couldn't manage to swing anything back while you have Berjaya just securing the Herald for themselves. Crack open this mid-tier 1, and as we said before, Alpha, they have this hybrid poke pick comp. Once you get on top of them, once you force them into 5v5s, once you choke out their vision advantage, suddenly they can't play the game, suddenly they just fold under the pressure, and suddenly this composition looks a little bit more difficult to execute than some of your more standard 5v5s we've come to expect from these teams.
Now there for Berjaya, we're going to have one more minute onto Mountain. They've already taken down that first tier tower in bot lane, maybe starting to look towards mid. You see Alpha trying to at least get as much presence as they can onto the bot side of the map, try and get some vision down, got themselves a scuttle. Might try and at least contest here toward the mountain, but are sitting now about 4,000 gold behind Berjaya and not even looking to force this first tier tower in bot lane just yet.
Yeah, Chen 9 on the split push game right now. This is about all we've heard from this guy so far this game. Maybe he gets a kill here though.
He's got nowhere to run. He's got stacks on him on top of it. He's going to get stunned instantly and taken down as Enzo now on a rampage and has squashed this Elise when it comes to this game.
2 pink boards on the lantern there. Really, really difficult for the Elise to navigate. You have to like zoom your camera fully in, and then still it's hope to line up the camera perfectly to be able to right click on that. Really, really difficult scenario for your River to escape. Super big commitment from the Alpha trio to try and salvage some sort of a play there. And yeah, good collapse coming through from Berjaya.
Yeah, and with now your River getting taken down, that should allow Berjaya to easily set up vision down towards this dragon. That should be an easy take. Do see, though, on your live feed, Rift Herald is popped in mid. Going to get some more cryo there and then rotate back to the mountain.
Yeah, once you crack open mid-tier 1, as we mentioned before, really difficult for Alpha to choke out the vision, to move up aggressively, to poke, to siege, to pick, do anything their comp is intended to be. And right now, if you're Alpha, you're saying, look, let's try not to lose too much across the board and just farm up. Scale, scale, scale on the Kaisar and hope Waylon can 1v9.
That's a hope here right now for Waylon. It's still a little while before that's going to really come online, and the question now becomes, is Berjaya going to be able to end the game in time? So far, they've been able to secure objectives, and we start seeing them getting a little bit more aggressive, just going for a little bit of siege in the mid lane. You do have Malon that's just going to soak up this wave on the side lane. And this is your River, again, putting a lot of time and effort trying to get a pick on a side lane, but if it doesn't take off, you just have Enzo who's going to continue power farming.
Yeah, you look at the Graves and you look at the Elise and you say, look, you basically have a champion that should have done well in the early game and then fall off. And then you have a jungler that should have done, you know, somewhat well in the mid game. And yet he's done well in the early game. He is on the board. Enzo is huge right now. This is Enzo versus Liab kind of playstyle right now. And it's just a really difficult scenario for your River to navigate on a champion that should have, theoretically, been so much more influential in the early game.
And you see there, they're just trying to hope to set up plays, look to see whether or not Berjaya have any vision, but there was actually a blue trinket in the brush behind them. They didn't even check that, so they had full knowledge that this Elise was just kind of standing by. And this gives, like we mentioned, this Graves more opportunity to open up an advantage over the jungle matchup, and honestly, now we're starting to get a little bit of a feeling that, hey, this Elise is going to start turning into a cocoon bot sooner or later.
I'm so glad that was a blue trinket in the bush right there, because I saw you freaking out and I thought you were finding issue with me. But no, you were just having issue with the fact that Alpha were forcing in full vision.
Exactly. Now up to our top side, Chen 9 able to get some damage. K2 just going to go ahead for the arcane shift overway. In comes Waylon, finds himself the kill with the killer instinct. Able to get himself within, but now Ozzy on this Aatrox not able to actually engage onto the fight, but that is a nice pick. Flash hook coming out from the Thresh, not going to be able to do it. Delulu able to interrupt the call of the Forge God. A triple knockup into the damage, and it's a double kill from the Aatrox as Berjaya are able to turn it back around, get themselves the root onto the Ornn, and Bush is going to fall. Mauon finds himself a kill, and right when Alpha feel like they have an advantage taking down the Ezreal, it gets turned on their heads in the jungle.
Cool, Alpha, find the pick. Yeah, nice, we get the Ezreal. Cool. And then bam, full commitment. Really just not the thing you wanted to see. We said they have a poke, they have a pick comp. They need to land the hooks, they need to land the Call of the Forge God, they need to land anything and find individual kills like this one. That is a beautiful start to the fight for them, but they fully commit. They commit to the skirmish, they commit to the 5v4, and that's just testament to how bad their comp is at taking these 5v5, 5v4 fights, taking team fights. This comp is not a team fight comp. Even if you have a numbers advantage, you are screwed in the fight itself.
Like, the simple fact
to watch.
Like, if the simple fact there for Bush is once the Call of the Forge God was interrupted by Delulu, at that point, if you're Alpha, you just got to say, okay, no more. There's no real point for us to try and do it. But he said, your son, he was like, I'm already here as a Thresh. We're making this happen. Lays down the box and an easy turnaround. And if you thought that Aatrox was scary before, picks up 2 more kills to help inject into this mid game. And it's now, what, a 6,000 gold lead for Berjaya at 22 minutes? And now looking for their 3rd dragon of the game in 1 minute.
Graves chilling at 90% KP, by the way, infinite KDA. Day of the Jungler MVPs today so far in the PCS, I believe. Or at least a couple of them. That being said, though, yeah, and so he's pretty big right now. Gonna lay down the damage. And something I do want to touch on, by the way, in terms of itemization here. We mentioned the scaling aspects of Alpha's carries, but look at the Umbral Glaive on the Graves. This chokes out the vision, and this means that you have less options for crazy cocoons, less options for crazy hooks, less options for crazy Ornn TP flank engages, and it's just a really difficult situation for Alpha to be in, because if you have to face check, that means you're in position to be, jumped upon, and if you're jumped upon as a comp that can't fight, it's really doomed.
And I like to say that Alpha oftentimes live or die by the performance of your River. I have no clue why you're trying to send 3 people up for a first-tier tower when Dragon's spawning in 10 seconds.
And that Dragon will send them 1 point away from that Dragon Soul. Really just looking forward to seeing how Berjaya execute on this one. I guess at this point you're saying, look, if you're Alpha, we can't 5v5 them, we can take a standard fight, we need to just chill, try and rotate around the map, and do what we can, get what we can.
There you go. Berjaya, it's going to be their 3rd dragon of the game, then 1 more away from Mountain Soul, pending a miraculous steal, which no one is in range of, so should be an easy take here for Enzo. And yeah, if I'm Enzo right now, I'm very happy with my performance, considering, we felt that it has been lackluster in the most recent losses that we have seen from Berjaya, especially when they were going up against Hong Kong Attitude just last week. This time around, though, picks up a new champion for Summer, gets that Graves, gets the ball rolling, able to go toe-to-toe against the Elise in the early game, and all seems very well. This is starting to look a lot more like the Berjaya Dragons that we saw back in spring that were able to get 4th in the regular season.
Yeah, and the thing about Berjaya back in spring is that when they lost, they would... Oh!
Well,
okay.
That has been the one change, is Delulu, which Delulu himself, on average, gets caught out a lot during Berjaya's games. That's the one thing I am going to criticize here. That's his 3rd death already.
Yeah, so the thing about Berjaya relative to last split and this split is that last split, they'd be proactive and they'd get punished for it blowing up in their faces. So far in their losses this split, it's like they've just kind of rolled over, not done much of anything, and just kind of dropped. And now it's really promising to see that they're being proactive again, even if it has led to their Brawn being caught out, and potentially this Baron being taken away under their noses.
Wow, no one's here, no one knows. This is a free Baron. No one from the side of Berjaya is going to get here in time. Your River going down low, it's already been secured. Does Berjaya actually try and fight this? It doesn't look like it, they can't. So 1 pick, 1 mistake by Delulu, and this has happened multiple times already during summer, ends up costing them a neutral objective.
Yeah, has to be a little bit careful about where he moves through that bush. Could even throw up the shield preemptively if you really wanted to, but I guess his eyes were elsewhere. To his credit, they did have mid priority. It shouldn't have played out the way it did, and in fact, you do have to praise Alpha for being not only a little bit crazy on that pick, but also crazy on this Baron call that may very well get them back into this game.
Well, now with that Baron, it kind of stalls out the game for them and gets them a little bit closer to, that miracle dream that they have of Waylon being able to 1v5, 1v9 the opposing squad of Berjaya. So a little bit of time added into the pockets of Alpha might end up paying off here. We'll see how Berjaya try and answer here. 2.5 minutes still onto that Mountain Soul, as Baron will still last for another 2.
The sad thing about Alpha, though, is that even with Baron buff, they still can't 5v5, so you're seeing them not commit to the mid lane wave. Can't even threaten this tier 1 unless Berjaya just fully choose to seed it, which, to be fair, looks like they will. And you're seeing that Alpha, rather than willingly playing the map and, doing crazy 1-3-1 or 2-2 with a floating person in between kind of shenanigans, they're just trying to scramble for whatever resources they can get before this Baron does time out.
Well, if you're able to pick up some of the freestanding gold on the map, that's now 2 towers taken, and well, this 6,000 gold lead's already been cut in half over the course of just a minute of having this Baron buff. So give credit over to Alpha. They have been able to stem the bleeding and actually start recuperating some of their losses.
Alpha now looking somewhat big, somewhat scary. Need the Nationals Tooth on the Kaisar before you really start to think, okay, this is a team that can legitimately make a case for brute forcing their way through a fight, provided that Waylon can survive. Keeping up the siege though, gonna opt to send 5 people bot. Still can't take this straight up 5v5, but maybe they can find a pick in the meanwhile.
They also got to factor in now, that's their 3rd tower they've been able to take with this Baron buff. Also look, that's now 3 Ornn items now completed. Also got to factor in your ornaments when it comes to gold efficiency, and I'd say, Alpha is actually starting to be even.
The thing is, Opal.
Okay.
Tell me what Ornn items Elise, Kaisar, and Thresh build.
That's a toughie. That's a toughie. Unfortunately, the Elise is just going to be like, I guess I don't get an item upgrade.
Hourglass, maybe. The Kaisar doesn't get a single one, though.
No, because she went into the hybrid build, because she didn't go crit. Usually you get, like, the Infinity Edge upgrade. Big brain approach. 4th item, Death Camp on your Kaisa.
I think 4th item Hourglass might be the play, but at the same time, when you're the only real source of damage past the 30-minute mark for your entire team, it does kind of set a weird precedent for the Alpha carries and their utilization of this Ornn passive as a whole.
Well, here, nonetheless, Alpha have been able to stall out this game, be able to catch back up in gold. It's only about a 2,000 gold difference, and they have themselves priority when it comes to this Mountain Drake that Berjaya are eager to try and be able to challenge. Of course, this is Soul Point. If Berjaya can secure it, want to try and get some mid-lane pressure. A nice True Shot Barrage able to cut back onto your Sun as well as your River. And there you go, Berjaya going to try and do what they can, but still instantly getting cleared out here by Alpha.
If Alpha can secure this Drake, you basically reset to an even map state. The issue is that even when even, the Alpha comp can't 5v5. That's why they're still a little bit scary.
Oh, wow, Delulu getting hyper-aggressive, but they are able to cut back the team. Ozzy, though, is caught out towards the side. Has to be careful. Hook comes out. Beautiful fake coming out from Yursan. Able to land onto the Ezreal, and they take down Delulu, but Mountain Soul secured by the side of Berjaya, and unfortunately Yursan, his flash hook will not find its mark, and Berjaya, they're able to walk away with only 1 casualty for the Soul.
This Thresh flash hooks on cooldown and misses on cooldown, but hey, Alpha, they walk away with the pick, they lose the Drake. Actually, a big advantage for Berjaya coming off of that, because as you mentioned, Soul, plus you're only trading your support, but at the end of the day, Alpha, it's somewhat promising. They come out even from a 5v5. You could say even. Like, it's not the end of the world. It does set, a good standard for the Kaisar and the rest of the team to follow up on, because in an ideal world, the Thresh hits a hook, and then that means that they can actually brute force a teamfight victory the next time a similar scenario rolls around, whether that's in 5 minutes for the Elder, or beforehand when they contest Baron Vision.
Yeah, you could even tell during that fight that Alpha, they seem a little bit, you know, a little bit hesitant on exactly who they wish to focus, because I got to commend, like, we do mention that your son's been kind of flash hooking off cooldown and it hasn't landed once, but he actually had a very nasty hook in the river that K2 completely did not expect at all, and he actually got the hook onto the Ezreal, but Alpha are like, we got to kill that Aatrox first. And then it's just like Ozzy kind of like, oh, I'm soaking up all this damage. You guys could get a lot more. And
what the hell is this, Opal?
What is what?
I'm sorry, but lost chapter, 4th item for the Kaisar. I mean, okay.
Ludens, baby, we're going for the Ludens
we can
pulse.
Upgrade it.
There you go.
We get
I think if you're gonna go AP, you might as well just gone Rabadons. But who knows? Alpha gonna go ahead and start up the Baron. Berjaya going to try and do the candle. Lulu gets hooked out again, gets stunned up. A decent round down. Puts that Braum to about half health. Baron, though, rule reset, but Call the Forge God wants to re-engage. Bush on the front line. Still not able to find the knock-up onto your key carries. K2 is still pretty good himself, and Berjaya have inside track toward mid lane.
And you see, as soon as the Braum shield is down, Alpha pull the trigger on the Ornel, pull the trigger on the Thresh hook. So many cooldowns being extended to not really get anything here. Berjaya, they can find their way into the pit. They can find their way into this fight.
Malon goes into stasis. Ozzy, though, on the flank with this Aatrox, wants to join in. True Shot Barrage able to find a couple targets, but not able to take it down. Your son gets taken down. That's going to be a rampage going on over to the Aatrox. Flashes coming out from Alpha, but the shutdown goes back on over. It's a double kill, though, for Ozzy, and it is a trade of 2 for 2. No one secures the Baron. Now make it possibly 3 as Enzo comes around the corner and puts down your river once again.
A really good read by Enzo there to clean up further from that. At the end of the day, though, Berjaya can't make a convincing case for this Baron. Oh, wait, the Ezreal's alive. Yeah, they can.
There you go. No Elise for another 30 seconds. It would be up to Chen 9 to find a massive steal with a Shock Blast combo. Teleport is coming out here, and it doesn't end as Chen 9 now getting himself in possession. True Shot Barrage also there. Waylon also wants to join in on the fight. They say, if you're going to take this Baron, we want to clean house. Berjaya, though, should be able to secure it, and they will, as that gets taken here by Enzo. Now a split fight. Chen 9 onto K2. Gets himself back over to safety. He flashes into the pit. He has nowhere to go, though, and the rest of Berjaya say, we'll just take you down. Bush teleports in, and he just runs to top lane. And Baron in favor of Berjaya.
Yeah, you saw the Waylon try to cheese that out with a, I believe, Kai'Sa W? Doesn't work out, doesn't find much of anything, can't really turn that fight around, can't steal the Baron, can't do much there. Berjaya, they secure it, they secure the fight win, they secure the Baron, they secure tier 2 top, and it looks like this game-ending push is materializing in the bottom of our screen right now.
Yeah, you can see on your live feed now on to the inhibitor tower, inhibitor itself, and we'll see whether or not Alpha can hold the line. The hook comes out, box laid down, but it's not going to be enough. The push is still there, still waiting. 5 seconds on Waylon on this Kai'Sa. Can Alpha try and delay the inevitable? True Shot Barrage not able to find his target. They're able, though, to take down Delulu. Another hook is going to land, but guess what? The shielding from this Karma is just too damn much, and Berjaya are just going to go ahead and trample over the bodies. Chen 9 trying to turn back this fight, but unfortunately his comrades have already fallen, and Berjaya will find their second victory of summer over Alpha.
Berjaya have the comp to create space for this Ezreal to flourish, and K2 shows up big. The Graves in the jungle, playing like a madman from minute 1, answering tower dives, answering with some big farm numbers as well. And I am thoroughly impressed with the Berjaya Dragons we see this game, because this is not the Berjaya that was just completely smashed by HKA. This is not the Berjaya that has been on a losing streak. Honestly, they need to play at this level if they're going to come anywhere near to their placement from Spring.
Yeah, it's good to see, though, for Berjaya. We are seeing glimpses of what we saw back in Spring, and it was about time. It's your 6th game of the split. We'll give you the fact that you're likely going to win over Leah, but this was actually a much-needed victory, especially for them, considering they had a very tough schedule at the beginning of the summer split, whereas if you're dropping games here, there is a real, red flag going off in your head if you're on the team of Berjaya, saying, what is currently wrong with this roster? And they aren't flawless at all. I'm going to say that right now. These were some messy team fights coming out of both squads. Delulu getting caught out a couple times over on that Braum. That's still something that they need to try and, shore up if they want to try and compete toward the top of the table once again. And some of these calls, they're gutsy, but they end up paying off.
Yeah, Alpha's comp really couldn't take these team fights. We kind of attributed it as like this half pick, half poke comp, and that really, like, both sides of that equation cannot team fight. It was just really, like, you're opting into a choke point around the Baron where they can hard engage on you. Yeah, you have the Ornor if you want to do something crazy. Yeah, the Kaisar's going rampant in the backline, but it's not enough. Look at RZ, look at the Aatrox. The Aatrox was massive. He got a free lane. He got scale up as much as he wanted because the Elise, which traditionally dives top repeatedly, played exclusively for bot lane and then nothing else. Like, oh man, Alpha could have played that so much better than they did. And here was just Enzo with the literal spider sense.
Good read coming out there. Realized he didn't go over the ward behind the blue buff. But with that, it is going to be the victory going in favor of Berjaya, finding their second victory of summer. And now Alpha still in that one-win club at the bottom of the standings alongside Liab and Resurgence.
Yeah, Alpha, of course, with that one victory that they have being over HKA, can at least, you know, say, look, we're not like the rest of you down here. But yeah, the more games they do play, the more of an indication it becomes that perhaps this team is like the rest of the bottom end of the pack and, you know, are going to find themselves in a little bit of a precarious situation when it comes to looking towards playoff seeds and even a potential world seed.
You know, Alpha, they kind of pride themselves. They are the quirky team when it comes to a playstyle and apparently who they're able to take victories off at the moment when it comes to their schedule so far during summer. And yeah, commendable performances, though, coming out of Berjaya and a much-needed turnaround, I think, to start off Week 3, which, again, they still have more games to play. And MVP, it's going to go on over to Enzo on the Graves, 8-0-8, a beautiful turnaround from what we saw him on front.
Is this pose like the Dragon's Jewels on the logo?
I don't know, that or he's getting ready for the Kamikaha, but he needs his arms to be a lot closer if he wants to try and go for that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Definitely.
We don't get to choose their poses. They just kind of do their
poses.
Yeah. So this is what Enzo wants to look like, all right? Not our choice.
It's the Trundle chomp. It's the cue from the Trundle.
So the spirit of Trundle lives on even in his pictures, apparently. The one trick shall survive one way or the other. But again, like we mentioned, congratulations on over to Berjaya as well as Enzo for picking up the MVP. And with that too, we also have ourselves an interview, so we're going to go back.
Hello， 大家好，我是Berjaya Dragon 的杜露露，你好。
很活泼，
非常开心啊，这确实拿下。那首先想问一下，你们Berjaya在赢下了队伍的第2胜哦，能不能请你先跟大家分享一下，你在这次加入Berjaya，你个人的目标是什么呢？我个人的目标。
So, what is your goal this season after you join in Berjaya?
我个人的目标是我们团队的目标是先进世界赛，季后赛先。
So our team goal is to make playoffs and maybe later worlds.
好，那第二个问题，交给你了。
好，第二个问题，在10.13版本的改动，今天是第一天打，那这个版本算是改动蛮大的，你自己觉得最大的重点是什么？跟旧的版本比起来有什么不同？
So we played the 10.13 meta today. So what is the differences between this meta and the previous metas?
我觉得在我们队伍10.13跟10.12最大的改动就是我们变得更厉害了，比10.12更强，所以我们赢了。
So I think the biggest difference between the 10.13 and 10.12 meta is that our team is better and stronger in the 10.13 meta, so that's why we won.
好，那我想多补个最后问题，我想问独鹿，你个人压力大吗？加入这次的夏季赛？
Do you have a lot of pressure joining this spring season?
挺舒压的，因为我们队伍原本有个队霸，是中单茂安，但我来了就有点抗着他，所以过得还蛮快乐的。
So our team originally have a team gang leader, which is our mid laner Maoan, but now I'm slowly taking over that role and become our team leader. So I'm doing pretty fine, and I'm happy.
好的，那我们也是感谢独鹿接受他的访问，也感谢我们的翻译姐姐再次恭喜了Berjaya拿下这场。
Oh, there you heard. Delulu is taking over Berjaya. That seems to be the call here. All hail Delulu, the leader of Berjaya, apparently. That's what he wants us to know, all right?
Well, you would be all smiles too after picking up your second one of the split. doubling your stock during this summer so far. Yeah, Berjaya Dragons.
I think they'll be pretty happy themselves. As you guys can see, though, we do have more games coming up. HQ taking on Resurgence. We're going to go ahead and take a short break. When we come back, though, it is going to be the matchup to see whether or not that Singapore organization could do the same that we saw from Liab last week.
CTBC Bank is Taiwan's top financial institution, but we're not stopping there. We're crafting an international brand and already have over 260 outlets in 14 countries. We are by your side, ready to embrace the future.